Hi, I'm Jillian. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Blogger Genius podcast. But before I launch in, I have a question for you. How are you planning to grow your income in 2024 with competition from AI content and ad revenue potentially declining due to the phase out of third-party cookies? My advice? It's time to pivot by selling your own digital products and services to your audience. And this is where Milo Tree Cart comes in. Imagine setting up unlimited memberships, digital downloads, workshops, coaching, and mini courses in less than 10 minutes. Milo Tree Cart isn't just another tech tool. It's the easiest you've ever used with real people behind it, ready to help. And here's the best part. For our first 1,000 VIP customers, we're offering Milo Tree Cart for a one-time, lifetime deal of just $349. No recurring fees, and our customers often find it pays for itself after their first product launch. Then we're going to a traditional subscription model, so get it now. Plus, we're all about trust, so we offer a 30-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. There's absolutely no risk in giving it a try. Ready to explode your income in 2024? Visit milotree.com and grab this exclusive offer. And here is a bonus. Purchase by the end of January, and we will get on a 1-hour coaching call where I will help you come up with your strategy, share best practices, and show you how others are having tremendous success. And what could be better than getting a pair of fresh eyes on your business in 2024? Pause this episode, head over to milotree.com, and become one of our VIPs.
Welcome to the Blogger Genius podcast, brought to you by Milo Tree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is Jillian, and I have a mind-blowing episode, really fun today. I have Steve Wiideman back on the show. He is an SEO. He is so excited about all of the changes that are happening in AI and how this is going to impact blogging and online entrepreneurship. And it's funny because you'll see me throughout the episode struggling to try to keep up with this new vision of the world. You got to hear this. So without further delay, here is my interview with Steve Wiideman. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm super excited to hang out with you and geek out over all the cool things going on in digital marketing.
So I just vomited out to you all of my kind of concerns or thoughts about the world. And what's so funny is you're like, I'm so excited about all of this stuff.
We should call your husband back who brought you a tea and have him give you a big hug and say, Jillian, it's going to be okay. I promise. It's all going to be okay.
So
and it really is.
And by the way, so Steve, you're an SEO expert and you typically do you work predominantly with brick and mortar stores, online stores? Kind of who is your ideal customer who hires you to help them with SEO?
I wouldn't exist if it weren't for the brick and mortars. I mean, as I started my career as a freelancer, so I'm fortunate to have had some amazing small business clients, but the majority of our clients at the moment are restaurant chains. We have a major e-commerce brand that specializes in soaps and now in chocolates. We also have a coffee manufacturer that does coffee machines. So we do work in general with larger brands, but that hasn't stopped us from, taking the here and there smaller client or an attorney might be struggling with an issue and we'll work with them for 6 months. We have a HVAC company that's been with us, if you can believe it, since 2008.
Wow.
And they've just been amazing, and watching them grow and growing with them as part of, what we've been able to contribute from an organic standpoint. So, so that's a little bit of kind of our base, but we've had clients that are like jacuzzi and public storage, and we get some really random ones. We had a lightsaber client too. That was really fun. And, got to be nerds and do some brand immersion and have some, Star Wars level lightsaber fights here in the office. So
that's so fun. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So if I were to take your temperature on where we are today in terms of SEO, AI, and where you think we are going, even in just the next 3 months, 6 months, year, what are you seeing, and what are your overall thoughts about this?
You used the word excited, I think, before. It's definitely what all of us are feeling. My wife, a little nervous. Like, I'm reading all these things, and I don't know if people are going to be going to Google anymore. You hear Dwayne Forrester at State of Search talking about how millennials and Gen Alpha are using TikTok to search more than Google, and you're going, wow, the world is changing, and it's exciting because we've been doing the same things just a little bit better every year for the good part of 15, 16 years. And now we get to learn some new things. Now we get to, as Dan would put it here in the office, roll with the punches and see what's happening and how we evolve. Hey, if people are starting to use TikTok more, let's put our Neo hat on and wake up tomorrow and know how to optimize for TikTok search, right? So I think the exciting moment is that we get to break free of doing what we've always done and being in our comfort zone and getting out and doing something new and unique and studying it and watching it. And I think that's what the industry is doing. Everyone in the industry, they're scratching their chins right now, watching and listening and experimenting and seeing what other SEOs are doing and what other digital marketers and email marketers are doing to see how it all plays together. But I think if we look at our businesses holistically from a digital marketing standpoint, if we've done it right in 2024, by the end of the year, we'll have a fully integrated marketing strategy that won't be focused 95% on Google, right?
Ooh.
Instead, it's going to focus a little bit more on the different mediums that all connects and tell a story. It's going to be around social and email marketing and more brand awareness, more relationships. I mean, if we're talking about neural networks and LLMs, why aren't we building those with our businesses instead of staying in our cubicles and just trying to hack Google for keywords?
So wait,
right?
what do you mean? Let's unpack that. What do you mean?
Sure.
First of all, LLMs, like, will you just kind of explain what you're saying for
Oh,
the
yeah, of
layperson?
course.
And then I know it's large learning models, but like, what does this mean in terms of stepping outside of Google
Right.
and setting yourself up for success?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question, especially, and the answer, I think the answer stems from the strangeness of the release of all sorts of Google ranking algorithms in the last month. I don't know if you've noticed that in court trials and everything. They're sharing, hey, do you know if people click on your listing, that's going to help you rank? We've been, there's SEOs that have been saying that you can't do that for years. It's like, why would all of this old kind of ranking secrets that we've been wanting to know about for years and years and years just suddenly just everywhere? Because the search ecosystem is changing, because AI, right, this artificial intelligence is injecting itself into our lives, into our business, into our work. And I mentioned LLMs like Bard and Chat GPT, are now in a very, very important part of our research and how we're trying to automate what we do. So, if we're now being if what we do is now being enhanced by AI, then we have to start thinking like AI. And what is AI doing? What are these LLMs doing? Is they're emulating human behavior, right? That's what they're doing. And then they're connecting the dots to be able to give you what you need to be successful. And so if we look at that and we say, well, let's not just let them emulate us, let me emulate them in what they're doing. And they're connecting different pieces of what they've learned to create something that's going to help you be successful. So when I think about it, I'm like, well, now is the time to start connecting with all of those different verticals, that have something to do with digital marketing, but nothing really specifically to do with SEO, and start creating those relationships, because those are the things that are going to help me drive referral traffic, brand awareness. I'm going to be on other people's newsletters and email marketing.
Okay.
It's going to be more of a again an integrated marketing strategy, as opposed to being myopic to the gods of Google search results. And if we have that mindset of, okay, well, where do I start? What do I have to pay attention to? Start with just the very basic marketing mediums and go to an expert in each of those mediums, from email marketing, affiliate marketing, maybe even a little bit of referral marketing. Go to all those different channels, hire an expert and say, give me a 1 to 10 score. We call this our tactic utilization score. And it's 1 to 10. And there's one for every single digital marketing medium, maybe even broken down by some of the disciplines within those mediums.
Wow.
Or publishers like in Google Ads and Bing Ads and all the different channels that we could be doing advertising on. And you get an expert and give me a score. How am I performing based on your experience and doing an audit and review of what I'm doing in this area? And if they come back and say you're about a 4, well, great, I've got 6 more points I can earn. Let's put a roadmap together. Let's get some people in to really help make this happen, and let's schedule something with you again in 6 months or a year, and you can tell us if our scores improved. And you keep working until every single medium is at a 10 out of 10. So what happens if there's 7 or 8 different mediums and organic's one of them, and you get a 10 on your organic SEO score, but you've got 0s or 2s on everything else? Your aggregate score is going to suck. You're still going to fail. So as a digital marketing department, or as a business owner, CMO who's working with digital marketers, you want to make sure that every channel is performing at its best. And more importantly, the person who's your channel manager, the digital marketing director, needs to make sure that there's consistency between those different mediums. That means in your paid search, your ad should say the same message that your organic copy that you're sending them to has. It should resonate with the social media profiles and have a consistent theme and consistent colors and branding and personality and narrative. All of that need to be consistent. Sometimes when you get different people working on those different channels, you get a different narrative, you get a different voice, you get different advertising copy. So it's really crucial, to sit down as a company and establish, what is our brand narrative? Who are our potential allies that we can connect to help grow our business beyond just what we're doing in SEO, and be a part of their network and get them to be part of ours. So in a year from now, in 2024, we sit down and we go, wow, we've got 8 out of 10 score across every medium. We've got brand and voice and narrative consistency across all of them. And we built relationships that are generating so much traffic and brand awareness for us that most of the searches that we're getting now that are coming to our site are for our brand name, not the non-branded queries like a recipe. That was, what I used predominantly before the world changed in 2024.
Okay, now my audience, they are solopreneurs. Maybe they have a couple of VAs. I mean, these are not people with enormous marketing budgets like big companies. So as you're saying this, it's like, this can sound overwhelming. I mean, it feels like my audience just got their stuff together to figure out keyword research. And now that's not totally true, because bloggers and small business owners do have to wear multiple hats. So it's like, we understand the importance of email. We understand Instagram probably in a much deeper way than, say, some of your clients do, because we are already on these different platforms.
Yep.
But how would you break this down? Because if money were not a problem and time, and the real issue is our person managing our Instagram account talking to the person who's managing our TikTok, we don't have that.
Yeah.
So what do you say to that person so that his or her brain doesn't explode?
I would say if you're wearing all the hats, you don't have to worry as much about the consistency, because you're everything. That's the good news. And that maybe your competitive advantage over some of the larger brands that are, so not doing that. I do think it's still important to hire somebody who's an expert, even for just a couple $100. And maybe you only do one a month because you've got a limited budget. In 12 months, you could have 12 different advertising marketing channels evaluated, by a consultant who can spend a couple hours with you. Start with that. Maybe the next year, when things are doing even better and you're making even more money, you can go next level and say, hey, do a full strategy for me. But start with just one a month. Get with an email marketing expert and say, could I buy 2 hours of your time? And let's sit down, let's review everything I'm doing, and you can give me some advice. That will propel you at least further than where you've been and give you some inspiration for how you continue to grow. The next thing I see when you look at social media and in particular, and you look at influencers and how influencers grow, if you pay attention to their behavior patterns, what they're doing is they're barnacling off of other influencers. So if you're running social media for your group, the first thing you should be doing is finding a list, whether you're using Spark Toro or another tool. That's a really neat tool, by the way. It's called Spark Toro, Toro, and find those influencers that are in your industry. You're probably gonna have to start with ones that have around the same amount of followers as you, which will be really little in the beginning. And you start doing these little collaborations. Hey, could we do a collaboration together? Do something on your channel, you do something on mine, and we'll take some of this existing blog content we've been doing for the last decade, and rehash it in a quick little 30-60 second short form content piece. And then you build some more followers from their followers. They get some from you. And then you go to the next one and the next one. And then you just keep going until your influencer level is at a level where some of the larger brands are at. And at that point, those brands in some cases are even pay you to do collabs because they want your visibility and your followers. And when you get to be on their channel as a guest, as a collab, and they get to see what an amazing brand you are and what amazing things that you're doing for your industry and for your community, they're going to fall in love with you and they're going to subscribe, and you're going to give them a call to action to do that, so that when the short form content is over, they'll have some reason to want to find out how they can get more of you, whether it's through your email marketing newsletter, maybe it's just subscribing through your TikTok or your Reels or your YouTube channel. But either way, every month you're going to be growing your audience and chipping away at it, so that in a year or 2 years from now, you'll have tens of thousands of followers and brand advocates, and you'll get them involved in the things that you're doing in a way that they're doing the marketing for you because they enjoy what you've put out to make them want to do it. And you've got to get really creative, but it'll work. And at some point, word of mouth will blow up so big that there's going to be a line around your building. Or if you're a food blogger, there's going to be people that are commenting and engaging in your content and leaving reviews on it. And the reviews are going to be important, even in the new generation of AI, where we're untethering ourselves from our mobile devices and using augmented reality, Meta and other ways to. You've seen the new devices that are coming out that you just pin to your shirt now.
I saw that.
So as we start untethering ourselves from our phones and looking back at history and laughing at ourselves walking around holding physical devices, we're going to still show up in those results, because you're going to ask questions that are usually modified by an adjective such as best or better, or you'd mentioned specific food allergies or whatever, right? So you're going to be using those types of things in your prompts, and Google's going to give your brand more awareness in the results. And it's going to say, according to, I found an article on such and such site that talks about that. Would you like to hear it? Great. Now our job as digital marketers is to figure out, now that they've listened to search and they've heard our brand be mentioned, right? How do we then take that and get them to do something else? And I think that's where markup and some of the coding on our website is going to change. I think that's where the Google Action Console and Alexa skills are going to start really coming into play again. You haven't heard anything about them in probably years.
No, could you explain what those are?
Of course. So the Google Action Console is it's literally just a platform where you can go into the Google Assistant and set up specific things you want people to do with your brand. Maybe it's make a purchase through the Google Assistant. Maybe you have a question, like maybe you're going to ask about Tide and say, hey, talk to Tide. I don't want to kick off my device over here. Hey, talk to Tide. It says, hey, welcome to Tide. How can I help you? And you're like, well, I have a question. Can I use 2 pods if I've got in my laundry machine, if I've got a large load of laundry to do? No, actually, you don't want to do that, because, and it'll talk to you and it'll engage and interact in the same way that AI will, but even better, because it'll start being integrated with AI. So it's going to take your few prompts and your few answers, and it's going to create something even better and more helpful for the user. So I would start by just creating that Google Action Console and looking at the different ways that you can use it. If you sell products, you can look in the Action Console for what kind of invocations that people are going to use to be able to ask to purchase things. You can look at the different things that other brands are doing with Google Assistant so you can get ahead of the game. Alexa, same thing. Get into those skills. Look at example Alexa skills, and you'll see a ton of different ideas to draw inspiration on how you can leverage those things. So I would make sure in 2024 you're at least getting in there and doing that, because when somebody does finally learn how to use those technologies, we haven't had to because we've still been on our devices, but as we're untethering ourselves with these new voice search technologies, they're going to know when they hear a brand, oh, I just heard about this brand on the Gemini just said so and so had a really cool recipe. I want to find out more about them. Hey Google, talk to Jillian's blog, right? Or talk to put the full name in and do whatever you want to do to try to connect with the brand. And then it says, hi, I'm so-and-so. How can we help you? And now you're not just engaging with Gemini and with Bard and with ChatGPT, you're engaging directly with the brand. And I don't think even with the larger brands we work with, the developers who are creating these things aren't communicating to the brand folks on how they can train customers to use that. When you go into Target, you have no idea that Target actually has a way that you can buy through Google Assistant and interact with them, because the people who developed it couldn't communicate effectively to the folks that run Target to tell people when they're doing their advertising and they're doing their ads, to actually use those invocations from their mobile device, and they can order online and they can ask product questions. They can ask when something's going to be in season or if they have a product in stock. All those kind of things exist, but again, the communication isn't happening. Now, you as a small business can jump in there, start goofing around with it, and then start pulling those things in. So when people do start doing those AI searches, they're going to do that next iteration, at least in a year or two from now, and you'll have built everything all out and be ready for them. And that's I think something to start thinking about.
Okay, you are blowing my mind. So I haven't even really kind of played this out. What I hear you saying, I want to make sure that I'm getting this, is I was under the impression that it's like harder, that like I'm going to kind of circumvent the brand. I'm going to just type in and say, can I use like one Tide Pod or two, right? And I would never interact with Tide or what, whatever my question was. And what I hear you saying is, no, if you're a brand that people know, then somebody's going to say, I want to talk to Tide and get the information from the company, or get the information from the blogger, the influencer, or whatever, or, whatever it is, rather than just this amorphous AI that's going to know.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what's changed when you make a phone call and you get the phone prompt thing. What's the first thing you think about? What button do I hit to talk to a real person?
Totally. Yes. Oh, that's so interesting, because I think that where I don't have clarity yet is this idea of where AI is living and where humans and human products or brands or blogs or whatever are living. That I'm thinking, oh, I go to AI for this, but maybe then I go to target.com for this. So, but you're saying they're coming together.
Right. And think about, so something as small as a product, if somebody's doing a search for, I don't know, pottery supplies, right? And they do a search with Bard, that's now, assistant powered by Bard. And they're like, hey, Bard, or, whatever they decide to name it. Maybe they'll even name it Gemini, who knows? I need to buy pottery supplies and I want it delivered by tomorrow. Great. I found 3 places, one of them for $11.95, one for $12, and one for $15. Which one would you like to purchase? Well, I kind of want to go with the cheaper one, but can I get it tomorrow? And does the place have good reviews? Right. And then repeat back. Yes, they do. Would you like to make a purchase through them? Great. And then the business looks at their phone and they're like, oh, check it out. We just got a new order, from somebody who did a search online. But it's weird because I don't see anything in my analytics in Google Analytics or in Google Search Console, because that data is not available because it was a voice search, that created it. So we're going to lose a lot of that, and we need to stop. We're addicted to it. And I have a client who every day looks at his keyword rankings, and then he'll use, dozens of different tools, and my rankings are all over the place. What's going on? And I said, you got to start getting used to it, because search ecosystems, search results have completely changed. I know several folks at some of these conferences that we go to, where SEOs are sharing their latest and greatest and best of everything. They're talking about examples, and they're refreshing the screen and showing how the search results are different every time. And in the Google Labs, right, labs.google.com, if you're not using that yet to test to see what your results are in the new generative AI and the new, chat GPT type chat that's within Google search results, you got to get in there and start goofing around. But you hit refresh and you get that generative AI. And then below that, you'll get some ads, and then you'll get organic results. And those organic results keep changing. They're moving some videos up, they're moving questions and answers up. Almost every single refresh is different. And the types of results that are going to be above the fold in that generative AI will still have links in them, but there's no way to track those. There's no tracking tool that's going to be able to tell you what ranks for what, because every time you perform a search and hit refresh, AI is changing and giving you something a little bit different, because they think that's what you want or what you may want. So being able to track your keyword positions is
like my search kind of thing, not yours, like not just kind of generic search.
Correct. Yep. And you're seeing it already, right? You're already seeing it influenced by notes and personalization, and they're really bringing in that social factor. In many ways, Google's integrating their Google Discover. If you have an Android device, you've probably seen it. Google Discover's becoming part of Google search, and while you're doing these searches, it's making recommendations, and you can give it feedback. I like this, I don't like this, I don't like this brand, just like you might in TikTok. So you're almost customizing what you're going to see in search results based on your behaviors in the search results. So while everything looks really consistent right now, in a year from now, everyone's search results could be completely different. So for us to track keyword rankings, it's going to be ridiculous. We need to focus more on the content that's driving traffic, and the different mediums that are part of that, and the journey that somebody takes when they finally get to that page. That part of what we do in digital marketing is hard, and it is something you should absolutely go back to school for, even if just taking an online course or going to LinkedIn's learning program, or to even just maybe even some free online walkthrough tutorial. Because
on what should people
on
Google
analytics
right now, or
on digital analytics,
okay,
and being able to do what we call attribution modeling, and understanding where our customers are. Because it could be we've got 100,000 eyeballs hitting us from Facebook, but they're not getting to our site. Or maybe we got seen by 200,000 people on a TikTok short, right, or a TikTok post, but we don't know that after the fact they're going to X, and then maybe they're looking at another article site often, where we don't have any visibility there, and we lose them from two different places that they found us where they're interested. Then they go to an article site and we're not there. So, or a news site. So I think it's really important to understand, the journey and where people are going, and not just to us, but to the competition as well. And there's tools out there like SimilarWeb, and other competitive insight tools that you could use to better understand how customers are getting to your competitor's website, and then going back to your team and saying, are we doing this and better? And let's take a look at the top 5 competitors in our industry and start some tests. In January, we're going to do a little bit about what these folks are doing. In February, we're going to test a little bit about what these guys are doing, and we're going to find what works for us in the mix. But what we're not going to do is rest on our laurels and go back to our keyword tools, or just ask ChatGPT to give me an outline for a page that's supposed to rank for, chili recipe. Instead, we're going to think outside the box, look at what's driving traffic to our competitors, and have a fully integrated digital marketing strategy, and be able to track it back by having an understanding of attribution and where all those other traffic sources are. So we have to break out of our SEO bubble.
I want to take a short break to mention our Milo Tree pop-up app. Many of you use it. Many of you might have used it in the past. Social media and email are becoming even more important as we start to diversify where we are able to get in front of people. Our pop-up app works beautifully with Google. It will not slow your site down. It works with Raptive and Mediavine. So please, if you are ready to passively, when you are sleeping, grow your social media followers on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, your email list, and even set up custom pop-ups, head to milotree.com/pop-up. That's POPUP. Sign up, get your first 30 days free, then it's just $9 a month. After that, it has never been more important to take your social media followers and email subscribers seriously. And now, back to the show. You've built this career as an SEO, and I feel like your job title is going away and you got to change it up with like maybe digital marketing or something. But, so you though, what is really nice about talking to you is I see your smile. Like you're not freaked out. And of all people, I'm kind of like with your wife, but you're an SEO and you're telling me the way we did SEO for a long time, with little changes. Google would announce something. You guys would all be like, what are they saying? And run some tests and try to understand this black box.
Yep.
And then do more tests and do it the way you were doing it for years. And now you're going, oh no, let's throw that playbook out. It's a whole new playbook. And it seems more, I don't know, like kind of Wild West, kind of.
It really is.
Like, whoa, but you seem
and it's going to be for the next
it.
3 to 5 years. It's going to be a new Wild Wild West. That's what SEO was back in, the early 2000s. It was the Wild Wild West. And now that search is different and it's changed, and the way that people are consuming content, and the way, like I mentioned, the millennials or the Gen Zs and alphas are searching TikTok. So my answer to my wife, whenever, she says, aren't you worried? I'm like, why? People aren't going to stop searching. Where they search and how they search and how they want to interact with content once they find a result is going to change. And my job is to adapt to that. She goes, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know yet. I'm going to watch. I'm going to pay attention to brands and what they're doing. I'm going to listen to peers and see the tests that they're doing and what they're learning. And just like I did in the early days of SEO, I'm going to document all of it and start creating my crazy checklists, and start working through those checklists to make sure that I'm still able to appear when someone's performing a search, where the chat is going to show results. How I'm going to track it is going to change, and I'm going to watch how other people are tracking and learn from it as I go. But I'm going to go into it with an open mind. I'm going to go into it like a clean sheet of paper, ready to learn and ready to grow and ready to evolve. And also know that these changes haven't all been implemented yet. And so we continue doing what we're doing until what we're doing is not working anymore, while learning all the new things that are happening so that we can adjust. And there's going to be a little bit of a balance. I'm going to see a drop off here, but because I've been learning, I'm going to see an increase. And I shouldn't lose any business because I'm paying attention, again, to what the competition's doing, and asking really smart questions to LinkedIn groups, to Facebook groups, to Slack groups, and saying, hey, I've noticed that I don't appear in the generative search results. Any suggestions or advice on what I could do based on what you've been seeing? And you're going to get a laundry list of ideas from other peers in the industry and other digital marketers to test to see if it makes a difference. Hey, I tested the featured snippet strategy to try to get into the generative search results, and it actually worked. That was pretty cool. All I had to do was create an H2 with a question and in a paragraph that solves that under 375 characters or so. And now I got the featured snippet, and I look in the generative search results, and there's my featured snippet right at the top and right after the results. I got like double placement. My visibility just doubled because I asked the question of how do I get myself to appear, and I solved it by using that whole featured answer or featured snippet process. Wow. So yeah, it's lots of questions. Just go into it with an open mind, and and don't just drop everything you're doing because it's still working. It's just going to continue to be less and less and less over time.
Now, could we talk about then the importance of branding? I mean, you touched on it when you said you need to have brand consistency. You need to have consistent messaging. You need to be in a variety of places and see where you're getting that connection. You need to be able to communicate your brand, because if I want to say reach out to somebody to do a collab, I need to know what I stand for. I need to know what I sell. I need to know what makes me different. So can you talk to that? Because a lot of bloggers or small business owners kind of, I don't know, they're trying to find these wins where they don't necessarily have to put their brand first.
Right. I think the easiest way is just looking at sentiment about what people are saying about you in reviews. Everybody should be getting a Google alert for their name, right? For their business name. Hopefully everybody is doing this. If you're not, make sure you do. Because when your name is mentioned, you want to know what's being said. You also want to look at your competition. Look at their reviews, their product reviews, their brand reviews, their Glassdoor reviews. Look at all of those different things and divide it into two categories. One, of things that they do really well that people are saying, oh, these guys are great because of this. And maybe even pull, I don't know, 10 competitors and run an aggregate, run a pivot table to see what the common themes are. Hey, I've noticed. So you take all this different feedback and you have a column that says the theme of this feedback is better customer service. The theme of this feedback is fast better delivery,
pricing. Right.
And so you do that across 10 competitors and you run a pivot table and you're like, wow, the predominant theme here for all these brands is that people really like them because of one, customer service, two, fast delivery, and the sequence of things they like. The second list is going to be the things they don't like. What are the things that really frustrate them? Was it, the fact that something showed up damaged? Was it, that they didn't like the CEO because he was, a narcissist and crazy, right? Whatever it is. But those are the things that the company then takes in. They have a little powwow and we say, here's what we know we don't want to ever do because this is what's hurting our competitors. And we don't want to be like our competitors. Let's learn from their mistakes. Here are the things that their customers really like about them. And here's our list, by the way, and here's how it differs or aligns. And we start with what people like about us first, because that's our strength. Maybe it's, I get a lot of feedback on bedside manner when I'm on calls with clients, right? You're not the best SEO in the world, Wiedemann. We've worked with some other really, really smart guys, but you're really nice to work with. And I really enjoy the conversations and how organized you are. So I know we're going to get the results we want and enjoy the process of doing it. And so that's my strength. And so I work through that. And when I'm on sales pitches and so forth, I try my best to share that feedback from my clients and remind everyone, look, I may not be the best in the industry, but one, I've got a proven track record. We've got, exactly this percentage of success year over year for all of our clients on average. Oh, and here's what our customers actually say about us that might resonate with you. And that's what makes me stand out is, again, knowing my strengths. Maybe even breaking the mold when you look at your competitors and what people don't like about them. If you're an airline and you notice everyone's complaining about the cost of baggage, be the one that doesn't charge for baggage.
Yes. Okay, here's a question. I'm a blogger, let's say, and I've been relying on ad revenue. What's that world looking like as we move forward?
So the ads are still going to show up in the chat results for sure. How they're going to be on the voice search is going to get interesting.
I'm a blogger and I show ads on my site and I'm making money.
I thought you were talking about you're advertising something on your site. Okay, so yeah, in the past, ads have always been kind of frowned on by Google in general, even though most of the ads are their ads. It's so silly that they've got this policy. Hey, if you have a lot of ads on your website, especially above the fold, we're going to demote you.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, idiots, this is your ad I'm showing. You gave me the code. So I get that. How I think it's going to change from a voice standpoint.
Yeah. And by the way, before I have to interrupt for 1 second. You believe that as we move into this world of AI, we are not going to be on our phones.
Long term, yeah, I think phones are going to go away.
You think phones are going to go away?
The physical device that you hold, and yeah, for sure.
You think we're going to be wearing glasses, a pin?
I think the AR and the even some of the VR equipment when you're at home and you want to watch some HD content and everyone in the living room wants to watch something different.
We're all going to be wearing our goggles.
At some point, I see it happening already. I see the growth. I don't know what the actual sales numbers are, but Apple's selling their stuff super fast. Everyone's excited about it and interested in it. Gamers love it. And there's a mic and you can talk and ask questions. And Apple has been reaching out to consultants to get advice on search and AI and how they can leverage it with Apple Spotlight search. I've seen, requests in my own inbox for, those types of consultations where they want to talk to search experts. So Apple search could actually finally be coming, and part of that is going to be because of all the headgear and so forth. And it might not even be headgear, like the new device. I can't remember the name of it now. It's like Enhance or something. And you basically just pin it to your shirt. And when you want to view something, because you talk to it, you just put your hand out and it beams whatever it is on your hand to be able to interact and do what you need to do there. With Gemini, if you watch the video that just came out yesterday, Gemini was actually, the Google Gemini was actually watching a Google rep draw on a piece of paper, and it said, "Oh, you're drawing a duck." It said, "A blue duck. That's uncommon." And then he shows the rubber duck next to it and goes, "Oh, that's a rubber duck, probably made of rubber or something else." So it's actually watching the person doing what they're doing and telling them and interpreting, what's going on visually through a camera lens. So yeah, I do feel like at some points, we're going to get to a place where we're just not going to walk around carrying a heavy device anymore. That we're going to have, different ways to consume content that doesn't require us running into light poles anymore. Right.
Wow. And with bad posture. Because
Right.
we're all
exactly.
hunched over,
Right. Yeah. Especially at the dinner table. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
If my kid brings a phone to the dinner table, it gets ugly.
Yeah. So because that's so interesting. So it's not like, again, like this whole model is completely shifting.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing you say is I should be my own brand that is known for something. I love your idea of looking at your competitors. What are they known for? Like, where is the gap in the market that I can fill? That is what I'm going to call special sauce that I can articulate. I need to be selling products and services, not just say having an actual blog. Like, are people going to have, like, I have this very large screen that I'm looking at you on. Is that going away? I know that within the goggles, you can see your screen. So will I no longer need, like, am I going to be going, are web pages going away?
It's possible. I don't think it's going to go away for the next probably 5 to 10 years, but it's possible that we're going to look at web content, a completely different way. Again, because people aren't going to want to have to go sit behind a laptop and click and do things. And because of AI and with the help of AI, we're going to be able to do all sorts of amazing things while interacting with them. But we still want to shop and still see things. There's still a visual component of what we want to do. We can't just say, "Yeah, order me a blue sweatshirt." It sounds really nice, even though you haven't looked at it.
Exactly.
So I think there's always going to be a visual component, but how it's going to play out with AR and VR and new devices, I think it's the unknown. It's really interesting, but I'm not worried about any of it yet because it's all, like I said, just chin scratching stuff right now. We're just watching and we're observing. But when you do see your traffic starting to go down, that's the point of actualization that you should have of okay, now I need to figure out how I'm going to adapt, to this change and what kind of things I'm going to test to make sure that I'm still appearing in generative search results and in voice search results. Talk to experts and consultants, get into those AI chat groups and SEO chat groups and just ask a lot of questions. I think that's even just 5 minutes a day of doing that little exercise should be all that it takes to make sure that you're staying aware of and at least knowing and having some ideas of what you're going to do so that you're just not looking back in 12 months saying, "Man, I feel like I just lost my business over the last year. Everything just went away." It's because you were afraid of all this new change. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Have fun with it and nerd out. And if you're still like, "You know what? I'm too old for this. I'm done. I'm 50 and I don't want to have to deal with it." bring in a college student, a marketing college student, and say, hey, would you like to do an internship and work with me to make sure that I'm keeping up to date with all the ways that people are going to find and interact with my business online as Google search results start to produce less and less and less traffic for me, and then let that younger, passionate, excited intern come in and help get it going for you. And then bring in someone to audit them and say, how are they doing?
See
What could they be doing better?
Yeah. Now, to kind of wrap up, where is the role of me as a human?
Mm-hmm.
In my business, in this future? Because again, I'm wearing goggles and I've got a pin and I got all this stuff. And we're talking about, I need to also be, let's say, right in front of my brand. So how do I think about me as a human building a business with all this stuff that isn't real?
I think there's two sides of it. You as a consumer, I think your standpoint is, now I can live my life and do the things I want to do because I'm not going to have to spend as much time staring at a screen. So hopefully you're going to get your life back, and that's the exciting part of AI. And I think you as a business owner, right, as a human in that area, you're going to be a problem solver. You're going to find out what it is that really eats up your customers, and you're going to solve all those problems for them through audio content and video content, the way that they're going to be consuming it. And TikTok and Reels, as the older generations start going away and the alphas start taking over, they're going to be using these video type content. And it's unfortunate because it does, I'm sure there's an impact to intellectual capabilities and just consuming short form content. I hope we don't become idiocracy, but the reality is this is how they get through a day. This is how they find things. This is how they prefer to interact with other human beings now. So us as business owners, we're going to solve all their problems. We're going to, listen to what they're saying. We're going to create a huge marketing calendar for the next 3 months. I can't tell you a year because the ecosystem changes every 3 months now, I feel like. So for the next 3 months, here's the content we're going to create. And in month 3, we're going to start creating the content roadmap for the next quarter based on what we've learned from the first month and what we've learned from the competitors who've been getting more traffic. I think that's how we're going to handle it, is in these bite-sized chunks and kind of an agile manner of just taking everything 3 months at a time, watching what works, watching what competitors are doing, and then adjusting. And that's probably the state of the wild, wild west for the next 2 to 5 years, until there's standards, until there's an MO, until there's best practices, because none of that exists yet. It's just to watch and learn and just work in very small bite-sized chunks, and just keep asking questions.
And one last question for you. What is so exciting about this for you?
Well, like I mentioned, it's giving us the opportunity to get more time with our family, to see the world, to travel more. Have you noticed that, by the way, when you're consuming content and there's travel content, these places are getting crowded. People are traveling. They're seeing the world more than they ever have. And a lot of that is because AI has enabled that, because the pandemic gave a lot of liberty to folks that had to go to a cubicle that don't have to anymore. So I'm excited because I'm going to be able to, be working on a book or content somewhere amazing in the world when my kids go off to school next year. And I'm super excited to, be at a cafe, hanging out with my wife, who's probably going to be looking at a map and figuring out where we're going to go next. And just as a human being, being a human being and living in the world, not being part of capitalism, but instead, being part of a bigger picture of how we're, working together to create something amazing.
Wow. That is a great note to close on. And it's very optimistic, because I think you can get kind of like freaked out. So I really like that. And I feel like as we are entering into this new year, that's a nice sentiment. So I have to say, Steve, thank you for showing up. And I, of course, want you back, because I feel like you're my fortune teller. You're showing me the future.
If anything, I think I'm just trying to, like everyone, adapt to the things that are going on, and feeling good about it, and not having that kind of scarcity mentality. Instead, the abundance mentality of all the new things that are available to help us live better lives, and to market our brands. So I'm very, very excited about it.
Wow. Well, I just have to say thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me. This has been great.
I hope you guys like this episode. As you could tell, there were moments where I was shocked and had to reorient myself in terms of what the world might look like. I think my biggest takeaway is that we aren't going to be able to rely on the strategies that have worked for us in the past, that no one really knows what the future is going to look like. But the more creative we can be in terms of getting in front of the right people, selling solutions to people's problems, working with people in our own niches or in complementary niches, like it's going to be really interesting to see how the next year or 5 years pans out. And I like that Steve is excited, because I feel like sometimes I need to get grounded by people who are excited, because I can spin off into lots of crazy stories in my head. If you are not following me on Instagram, I'm doing a lot over there as I am trying new things. Please follow me over there at Milo Tree. And if you do and message me, I will happily follow you back. If you are ready to start selling digital downloads, which by the way, I'm seeing people have tremendous success creating with AI, or if you're wanting to host a workshop, a membership, coaching, courses, please get on a call with me. It's a free 20-minute call. Just go to milotree.com/meet, because I would love to meet you. And I will see you here again next week.